Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hi, it's Steve and Joe from Everegg Global Insights, and we're here from Dubai.
Yeah.
We're here for Gulf Food for a few days, Steve.
Yeah, a little bit of a skyscraper shot just to see at the corner of the window at the back of us there. So we've only been here a day, in fact. See some pics, just some highlights from day one's action we took. Some really standout features of this event: the congestion, the crowd. They were crushed to get in and out. I'll never forget some of the scenes we've been involved in. So look, the vibe, Joe.
We thought we'd take the temperature a little bit in the last day that we've been talking to a whole lot of people. There are some bullish things that people are talking about, specifically about supply, I think, Steve.
Yeah, just no evidence and just no discussion in New Zealand on that, which is interesting because there's a little bit of a flush happening there. But yeah, lack of confidence that there will be, noticeable milk growth in the next 6 months or so.
That's right. Talking. Middle Eastern market potential. People are pretty positive about what's happening in the Middle East. Incomes rising, fairly buoyant economy here, and certainly it's a very busy place, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it's the opening. A lot of people talk about the opening of the Saudi market. There's a lot of change in policy and attitude, and there's a lot of cultural changes occurring the way that. So it's like opening up a whole, set of market triggers, I guess, for consumption.
We're going deep. And on the bearish side, Asian and Chinese demand, still not great signs coming out of that region, really, Steve. EU domestic market, again, still fairly flat, and a fair bit of discussion about the US cheese wave that's coming, Steve.
Yeah, we're looking at cheese in a big way here. It's the anxiety, I guess, in some of, where's this cheese going to go? And then a number of uncertainties. Like while we've been here, the EU butter markets continue to surge.
Yes.
A lot of confusion, I guess, is the main thing. A lot of people seeing it go up and down and very volatile and leaving people doubt about, where's this going to end up and what's it mean?
Yeah, a lot of head scratching here, Steve. Yeah. And the EU spring flush, obviously still a lot of uncertainty just as the weeks roll by.
Yeah. And no mention whatsoever of the Gulf conflict in any of the discussions we had.
Not a one. Interesting.
So let's rip into, we've had some update which allows us to complete the picture for December trade. Now, this is looking over the shoulder, I guess, of what's just happened, but, some very interesting things. We'll have a full wrap of the global trade add up for the year, the 23 year. That's coming out soon. But just some highlights from this. December was lower, but it's kept the full year pretty much flat. You can see the different periods there reflected.
Rush in the last quarter apart from December, so that's interesting. And this chart, especially, Steve, just those different trends there that you've picked out.
Yeah, it shows the slide we've seen since the last quarter of 21. These are annualised, so this is a rolling 12-month milk solids equivalent chart. And then this little, for quite a bit of this year, this little uptick, even though it shows a flat year, but there is some developing volume there, despite the limits on supply.
Sure.
And then, where's that coming from? You see that last quarter lifting. Southeast Asia is the most prominent recovery there off a very low base. You can see those big green bars going down this time last year, but that's a feature. China's still not growing year on year.
Yeah, still very much a drag, although less of a drag than we saw at the end of 22.
And here's where you pick up those regions. So that's just contrasting. And, summarising, the action's been Southeast Asia, China. MENA has been stronger. Everything else, not much, all offsetting each other, really. Just want to call out this. We also, part of that, we got EU trade. You can see a drop-off in skim milk powder activity. And it's interesting, the Middle East is where quite a bit of that's dropped off, those dark coloured bars there, which is an interesting call out. But we've seen other regions, North Africa being very important to try and keep those numbers up. The other thing that came out is, we were able to do a bit of a full picture on EU milk production, and that has continued to decline, but not as badly in December. And more recently, we're still seeing those numbers improve as we're in winter. This is year-on-year stuff, so France and Germany have come back towards flat in those numbers. So that's cycling on the prior year, which were negative. So it is an improvement, but this is causing a bit of nervousness. And that uncertainty you called out earlier in that summary of the buy, but it's got a lot to do with this chart. So GDT occurred yesterday. We can say yesterday because it was yesterday here. A really mixed result, which was up slightly, 0.5% in balance. But yeah, some interesting effects there, which we'll skip through, but held together by AMF.
Yeah, it's a really different board, I guess, compared to the last event where we had positives across the board. Now it's, as you say, just AMF holding up the team. And I understand that it's 13 events since AMF went down on the GDT, which is Taylor Swift's favourite number. Taylor's in Australia at the moment.
Something that's not there, if I'll swing back to the action, is mozzarella went against the grain. So we've seen softening prices in mozzarella in Europe, but European mozzarella went up $200.
Yes, interesting.
Nearly to 4,000, which is against the odds, but that's a small call out. Where spot prices are as a consequence of this result, let's get into some of the detail. Where demand was good in fats.
Yes.
We've talked about this thing with butter being smaller volumes, but that's holding on. And China again dominated this trade. AMF was very strong across the board. I think it's that discount that's cutting in.
Yeah.
With European prices going up and not looking like that's going to relax quickly as a region. So AMF representing good value. It's still a big discount, between $1,200 and $1,300 a tonne.
That's right.
Equivalent. So
there is still that gap to make up, isn't
there? Yeah. China came back, and I think the optimistic part or the positive part of this event is China increasing, these are tonnes, so not percentage, so China increasing volume at a time when offered volumes fall seasonally. So both skim milk powder, Middle East backed off skim milk powder and whole milk, they went up in volumes. So that's a positive takeaway for the mozzarella story. The other thing that was interesting is that the European prices came back in skim milk powder. So a very small increase of Fonterra's product. Arla's came up more than $100. The Solaric price was also quite close to the ending Oceania price. So a bit more bullish for European skim.
Yeah, that's interesting because we kind of speculated that perhaps the reversal of that premium was around concerns about supply or getting supply through the blockades in the Red Sea, but perhaps that's eased a little bit, Steve.
Yeah. And that discount we talked about is just starting to flicker up, but there's a long way to go for that. So where it's left us, this surge in European butter is still there. This is yesterday's futures outcome. Still a very strong line there. But EX is a very skinny trade, so not a lot of volume moving. And in fact, what was being talked about is not a lot of volume actually causing this run in spot prices. So just see how long that hangs on. Skim milk powder also quite a divergent set of numbers now, with US market well under the rest of the pack, but those Oceania futures still riding high with optimism that we'll see
They sure are. They've been that way for a number of weeks.
Chart of the week. What have you got?
Chart of the week. We're in Europe and we've got some data out for December product output, which is quite interesting. You can see there just for butter. Butter was well down in December, but skim was up, which on the surface looks a bit confusing. But the story there, Steve, is around demand for cream through that festive period. So not too much cream or not as much cream making it to the churn, and skim milk powder up, the rest just holding on. And then we've got skim milk powder production just edging up in that last month, Steve.
Yeah, so the stream return obviously very good for cream in that mix, so you have to pull that higher. And we've been talking a lot about the limited availability, so this will give it a little rally, and that probably looks quite different when we get to January. But that's an interesting development.
Sure.
The year ended, and that's all we have. It's been a tight, comprehensive wrap. We'll see you again next week.